Welcome back, everyone. We're doing another deep dive today, and this one is interesting. It's the top 10 hottest men of all time
Oh, wow.
from the Top 10's website.
Okay.
And I thought this would be a great one to kind of pick apart and look at the comments and, and see what
Yeah.
insights we can glean. Because obviously, hotness is subjective.
Totally. Totally.
But yeah, I think there's some interesting stuff we can pull out of this.
Yeah. It's like what makes someone stand out? What are the trends? What are people noticing?
Right.
Yeah.
What makes these guys so appealing?
I mean, and it can change over time, too. Like the concept of hot can
Yeah.
definitely evolve.
Totally. So yeah, we've got actors, musicians, a few unexpected entries on this list.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited to jump into it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so kicking things off at number 1, we have Jensen Ackles, best known for his role in Supernatural.
Okay.
And fans consistently mention his eyes, particularly how expressive they are.
That's interesting. Eyes are often considered, like a window to the soul.
Right.
And there's a lot of research, actually, about the role of eye contact in attraction.
Really?
Yeah, it can create that sense of intimacy and connection, even on a subconscious level.
So it's not just about, like, having pretty eyes. It's how you
Exactly.
market it.
It's the emotion behind them.
Yeah.
That intensity.
And Ackles, he's known for being able to portray a wide range of emotions, especially in those intense supernatural scenes.
Exactly. So you're already drawn in by his performance,
Right.
and then those eyes just amplify everything.
That's like his acting skills are adding to his attractiveness.
Totally. It's not just superficial. There's talent and charisma there.
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to number 2, we have Channing Tatum,
Okay.
actor and dancer who fans often describe as the definition of sexy.
Yeah. He seems to embody that classic Hollywood heartthrob image.
He does.
Yeah.
But there's also this sense of approachability about him. Like, fans mention his dance moves, his style, his humor.
Yeah.
It's like he's attractive, but also down-to-earth, someone you could have a beer with.
That's a great point. It's
Yeah.
like the combination of good looks and a relatable personality.
Yeah.
That's potent.
Yeah.
He's aspirational, but not intimidating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's interesting you bring up personality because number 3 on the list, Jared Padalecki,
Okay.
Ackles' Supernatural co-star.
Right.
And he's praised for his kindness and genuineness. Fans admire his talent, but they also highlight his resilience, in the face of personal struggles.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed too. Inner qualities like kindness, empathy, strength of character,
Yeah.
those seem just as important as physical attributes for a lot of fans.
Yeah.
It suggests attractiveness is multidimensional.
It's like those qualities add depth and intrigue,
Yeah.
make someone even more appealing.
Exactly. It's not just a superficial image.
Right.
It's about who someone is at their core.
Right. Okay, now shifting gears a bit. At number 4, we have Kim Hyun-jin.
Okay. He's a Korean entertainer and musician. This kind of highlights the global nature of the list.
It does. And it shows that while duty standards can vary across cultures, a captivating smile seems universally appreciated.
Yeah.
Fans constantly mention his smile. Just draws them in.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of smiles, number 5 on the list is Zac Efron.
Okay.
Known for those piercing blue eyes.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is fans note how he's transitioned from cute to smoking hot over the years.
It's interesting. That brings up the point of how our perception of attractiveness can evolve.
Right.
As individuals mature, take on different roles, it's not static.
So it's not just about inherent features, it's how those features are presented and perceived.
Exactly. Growth, personal and professional, can contribute to someone's allure. And in Efron's case, that transformation from teen heartthrob to, like, leading man seems to have resonated.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so up next at number 6, Bradley Cooper.
Right.
Considered incredibly good-looking, but fans also highlight his intelligence, humor, and charm. He embodies that charismatic intellectual archetype.
Yeah.
It's that combination of brain power and charm that can be incredibly attractive.
Yeah, it's like he's the whole package.
He is.
Like defying the stereotype of the dumb jock or the born intellectual.
Right. He's not just a pretty face. There's depth and substance there.
Right. Okay, now at number 7, we have Chris Hemsworth,
Okay.
most famous for his role as Thor. And it seems those superhero muscles, that godlike physique, have captured the hearts of many fans.
He represents that classic ideal of, like, masculine strength and power. But what's interesting is fans often compare him to his brother, Liam Hemsworth,
Oh, right, yeah.
who's also an actor and, of of course, very good looking.
It's like this battle of the Hemsworth brothers.
Right, exactly.
Who reigns supreme in the looks department.
Exactly. Makes you wonder about the role of genetics in attraction.
Yeah.
Are we just inherently drawn to certain features?
Right, right. Okay, so moving on to number 8. We have Ian Somerhalder, best known for The Vampire Diaries.
Mm-hmm.
He's got those piercing blue eyes again.
Yes.
Fans often describe him as a brooding bad boy.
Okay, so there's definitely an element of danger and mystery. Some find that irresistible.
Oh, yeah.
He plays into that forbidden fruit archetype,
Yeah.
which can be quite alluring.
It's like he embodies a fantasy, a certain archetype
Exactly.
that taps into something primal, exciting.
And that can be very appealing, especially when combined with, smoldering good looks.
Right, right. Okay, so number 9, we have Zayn Malik,
Okay.
former One Direction singer. Fans seem obsessed with his eyes and his overall smoldering vibe.
He represents that, brooding musician archetype. It's the combination of musical talent and that certain air of mystery.
Yeah.
It can be very appealing.
It's like he's tapping into that teenage angst, that rebellion
Oh,
that's so potent.
Especially with younger fans. And that connection with fans through music can intensify those feelings of attraction.
Right.
It's not just about looks, it's about the emotions and experiences.
Right, totally. Okay, and finally, rounding out the top 10, we have Liam Hemsworth.
Okay.
Fans just find him gorgeous.
Yeah.
And interestingly, many prefer him over his brother Chris. Amazing how even within a family, those preferences can vary.
It really shows that hotness is truly in the eye of the beholder. What one person finds irresistible, another may not.
Totally.
And it highlights how personal experiences, individual tastes, even cultural influences shape our perceptions of beauty.
It's like there's no one-size-fits-all answer to the question of who's the hottest. It all comes down to individual preferences.
Exactly. And those preferences can be influenced by a whole host of factors, from our upbringing to our current mood to the media we consume.
Right. So before we move on to the newcomers and the contenders on this list, I'm curious, what stands out to you so far in these descriptions? What patterns are you noticing?
Well, I'm struck by how often fans mention personality traits alongside physical attributes.
Yeah.
Kindness, humor, intelligence, even vulnerability.
Yeah.
Those qualities seem to amplify attractiveness.
Right.
It's not just about a chiseled jawline or piercing blue eyes.
Right.
It's about the whole package. It's about who someone is, how they make us feel, what they represent.
Right. It's about the whole story.
Yeah. And it's fascinating how those perceptions can evolve over time.
Yeah.
Someone who was once seen as simply cute can become smoking hot as they mature and develop their persona.
Yeah. It's like we're attracted to the story as much as the image.
Exactly.
Okay. So speaking of interesting stories, let's delve into the newcomers to this list.
Okay.
We have Luigi Mangione
Luigi Mangione.
and Jeff Stinko.
Jeff Stinko.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with those, so I'm really interested to see what the fans have to say.
Well, with Mangione, there's this intriguing detail about Madonna's song Beautiful Killer potentially predicting him.
Whoa.
Almost like she had a premonition.
So interesting, like art foreshadowing real life?
Yeah.
Is it coincidence or something more?
Right.
I love that.
It adds a whole other layer.
It does. It does.
And then there's Jeff Stinko, who one fan found too pure to be conventionally attractive,
Okay.
yet still wanted to marry him for his singing voice.
This just highlights that beauty is so subjective.
Yeah.
What one person finds irresistible, another may not even register.
Right.
And sometimes it's those unique, unconventional qualities
Right.
that make someone captivating.
Yeah, it's like beauty is truly in the eye and ear of the beholder.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it reminds us that those conventional standards
Yeah.
don't tell the whole story.
Right.
There's beauty to be found in unexpected places,
Right.
in those qualities that defy categorization.
Okay, now I know you're eager to explore some of the contenders who didn't quite make the top 10. But before we do that, I want to hear your thoughts on these newcomers. What intrigues you most about them?
I'm fascinated by the contrast between them.
Yeah.
Mangione with this almost mystical aura,
Right.
and Stinko with this purity that transcends conventional notions of attractiveness.
Yeah.
They represent two very different paths to capturing someone's heart.
Yeah, and they both demonstrate that hotness can be unexpected.
Totally
Like
not.
it defies easy categorization.
It's not about fitting a mold. It's about having that certain something that makes you stand out.
Right. Okay, so now that we've explored the top 10 and these intriguing newcomers, I'm ready to delve into the contenders. This list is packed with recognizable names, from musicians like Billy Joe Armstrong and Kurt Cobain
Okay.
to actors like Paul Walker and James Franco.
Right. This is where we can really see the breadth of appeal.
Yeah,
All the different qualities fans find attractive.
exactly. So let's start with Billy Joe Armstrong, frontman of Green Day. Fans praise his voice, his smile, and that bad boy appeal. They say he's even hotter in person.
Oh, he's got that classic rock star allure, that rebelliousness and edge that some find so attractive.
Yeah.
And that voice. No wonder fans swoon.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like he embodies a certain attitude, a defiance of convention that's magnetic. And that energy seems to translate even better in person.
It's that intangible something.
Yeah.
It goes beyond a photo or a video. It's about presence, charisma, that raw energy.
Yeah. Okay, now shifting gears a bit, we have Paul Walker, the late actor,
Oh, yeah.
who's remembered for his good looks and his tragic passing. Fans emphasize his beautiful face, body, hair, and smile.
His story is a reminder that beauty can be fleeting.
Yeah.
And his tragic passing adds a layer of melancholy to his image,
Yeah.
but also highlights the impact he had.
It's a reminder to appreciate the beauty around us
Absolutely.
while we can.
Yeah,
Cherish those moments of connection and joy.
absolutely. Life is precious, and a beauty in all its forms should be cherished.
Right. Okay. Next up, we have James Franco, the actor and filmmaker, whose looks are often compared to a god's son. Fans appreciate his genuine smile and seemingly perfect nature.
He embodies that classic Hollywood handsomeness. There's a timeless quality to his features.
Yeah.
Transcends trends.
It's like he stepped out of a golden age of cinema.
Right.
And that genuine smile, it suggests warmth, approachability, sincerity.
Totally. Disarms people. Makes them seem relatable, even with those godlike features.
Yeah. Okay. Now, before we dive into more contenders and their fan comments, I want to get your take on something. We've been talking about how attractiveness is subjective and multidimensional, but do you think there are any universal qualities that transcend individual preferences and cultural differences?
That's a great question. It's something anthropologists, psychologists have been debating for ages. While specific features, traits might be prized in certain cultures, time periods,
Right.
there do seem to be some underlying principles at play.
Like what?
Well, symmetry, for example,
Okay.
is often cited as a universal marker of beauty.
Okay.
It's thought to signal good health, strong genes.
That makes sense. We're instinctively drawn to people who look healthy and vibrant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the concept of averageness.
Okay.
Studies have shown that we tend to find faces that are more average, meaning they blend various features together more attractive than faces that are highly unique or distinctive.
So it's not about being overly striking or unusual. It's about embodying a sort of harmonious balance.
Right. And this could be tied to our evolutionary history, where recognizing familiar faces within our group was essential for survival.
So even though we might be drawn to certain unique features in individuals,
Right.
there's this underlying preference for familiarity.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
How our perceptions of beauty are shaped by this complex interplay of biology, psychology, and culture.
Yeah, it is. So we've got this foundation of universal principles,
Right.
but then we layer on personal preferences, cultural influences, individual experiences. No wonder hotness is such a slippery concept.
It truly is. And that's what makes these lists so intriguing. They offer a glimpse into this complex tapestry of attraction
Right.
and how it manifests.
Right. Okay, so now that we've touched on some of the universal aspects of attraction, I'm ready to explore some of the more specific comments about these contenders. This list is full of big names, and the fans have a lot to say about them.
I'm all ears. Let's hear what they have to say about these heartthrobs who didn't quite make the top 10.
All right.
So let's hear it. What do these fans have to say?
Okay, well, first up, we have a fan favorite, Johnny Depp. One comment highlights his dark, seductive manner and phenomenal acting ability.
Yeah. Johnny Depp, he's always cultivated that bad boy image. But there's also a depth and charisma to his performances.
Yeah.
Really resonates with people. Like, he can embody those rebellious characters,
Right.
but still make you feel for them.
It's a powerful combo. He's got that edge, but also vulnerability. Makes him even more compelling.
Speaking of compelling, next on the list is Jared Leto. And a fan describes him as sexy from the inside too, and emphasizes his eyes.
This brings us back to the power of eyes, conveying emotion, connection.
Right.
It's not just about the physical features, it's what's behind them, that spark, that intensity.
Right, and Leto has those piercing blue eyes that can convey a wide range of emotions. He can be intense, brooding, playful,
Yeah.
everything in between.
And his career choices show that he's not afraid to take risks, push boundaries.
Mm.
Maybe that fearlessness is part of what makes him so attractive?
It could be. Like he's constantly challenging himself
Yeah.
and those around him, and that can be very appealing.
Okay, now for a complete change of pace, we have Eli Wallach.
Okay.
This fan points out his unconventional handsomeness, highlighting his expressive eyes, Roman Jewish nose, and cute little mouth.
Hmm. This is a great example of how beauty can exist outside of conventional standards.
Yeah.
Walla had such a captivating presence,
Yeah.
and his unique features just added to his charm.
It reminds us that beauty isn't about fitting into a mold.
Right.
It's about embracing individuality, letting those unique qualities shine through.
And Wallach's career spanned decades. So we're talking about someone whose appeal transcended generations, suggests there's something timeless about his charm.
Right, yeah. Okay, so we've covered a few contenders now, and I'm noticing a theme here. Whether it's Depp's bad boy lore, Leto's intensity, or Wallach's unconventional handsomeness, there's this sense that these men possess a certain something that goes beyond just physical appearance.
Absolutely. It's that intangible quality, that charisma, confidence, or spark that draws people in.
Yeah.
And it's often tied to their talent, their personality, or even their life story. Like, we're attracted to the whole package, not just the surface.
And it's interesting to consider how those qualities are perceived differently across cultures and generations. What one person finds magnetic, another might find off-putting.
That's the beauty of attraction.
Yeah.
It's subjective, multifaceted. There's no single formula or set of features that guarantees universal appeal.
Right, and as we've seen with this list, hotness can manifest in so many different ways. It can be about brooding intensity, playful charm, rugged masculinity, or even unconventional features that challenge traditional beauty standards.
It's all about finding what resonates with you.
Yeah.
On a personal level,
Yeah.
what qualities spark your interest, ignite your imagination, and make you want to know more.
Right. Okay, so we've explored the top 10, the newcomers, and now a few of the contenders. But this list is packed with even more names. Mark Wahlberg, Ryan Reynolds, Harry Styles, Kurt Cobain, Hugh Jackman, Logan Lerman, Pierce Brosnan, the list goes on.
Wow. It's amazing to see such a range of men represented.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, if we were to dive into each of their fan comments,
Yeah.
what other insights could we uncover? What patterns would emerge?
Maybe we need a whole series dedicated to unpacking the nuances of attraction.
Right.
But for now, I think it's time to shift gears and consider the bigger picture. What can this list tell us about broader societal trends or evolving perceptions of masculinity?
That's a great question. I think one thing that stands out is the diversity of personalities and styles represented.
Mm.
We're seeing men who embody traditional masculinity, like Chris Hemsworth with his superhero physique, but also men who embrace a more sensitive or androgynous style, like Harry Styles with his fashion choices and musical expression.
It's like the definition of what it means to be an attractive man is expanding. It's not just about fitting into a narrow mold anymore.
Exactly. There's more room for individuality and self-expression. And that's reflected in this list. We're seeing men who embrace their vulnerability, their sense of humor, their unique talents and quirks. It's like authenticity is becoming more attractive than trying to conform to a rigid ideal.
It's interesting to consider how this shift might be connected to broader cultural changes, like the rise of social media, the growing awareness of mental health, and the push for gender equality.
Those are all factors that are reshaping our perceptions of masculinity and what it means to be a man in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And it seems like those changes are influencing our ideas about attractiveness as well.
It's like we're moving away from this idea of the perfect man who has it all together
Right.
and towards a more realistic and nuanced understanding of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
One that embraces flaws, vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
and a wider range of emotional expression.
And I think that's a positive shift.
Yeah.
It allows for greater authenticity
Yeah.
and self-acceptance, not just for men, but for everyone. It encourages us to embrace who we are in all our complexity and individuality.
Well said. Okay, so we've touched on the individual men, the fan comments, and now these broader cultural shifts, but I'm curious, what about the list itself? Do you think it's truly representative of the hottest men of all time? Or are there inherent biases and limitations to consider?
That's an important question. It's crucial to remember that any list like this is going to be influenced by a variety of factors, including the demographics of the website's users, cultural trends, and even the media landscape.
So we can't take it as a definitive statement on universal attractiveness.
Exactly. It's a snapshot of a particular moment in time,
Right.
reflecting certain tastes and preferences. And it's important to be mindful of the potential for underrepresentation of certain groups or perspectives.
Yeah.
For example, the list is heavily skewed towards Western celebrities, which reflects the website's primary audience.
It's a good reminder to always think critically about the information we consume. Consider the source and its potential biases.
Absolutely. And even though this list has its limitations, it's still a fascinating starting point for a conversation about beauty, attraction, and evolving cultural norms.
I agree. It sparked so many interesting insights and thought-provoking questions. Now, before we move on to our final thoughts and leave our listener with something to ponder, is there anything else that stands out to you about this list or the men on it?
I think it's worth noting the range of ages represented. We have men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that attractiveness isn't limited to a particular age group. It can evolve and deepen over time.
That's a great point. It challenges the notion that beauty fades with age. Maybe it's more about how that beauty manifests and transforms over time.
Exactly. It's about embracing the different stages of life
Yeah.
and finding beauty in each chapter. And perhaps that's a more empowering and fulfilling perspective than clinging to a youthful ideal.
I love that. It's about appreciating the journey, the evolution, the way life experiences shape and refine who we are. And maybe that's what true attractiveness is all about.
I think you're onto something there. It's not just about static features. It's about the story those features tell, the experiences, the triumphs, the challenges, the wisdom gained along the way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From specific fan comments to broader cultural trends to the inherent limitations of any list like this. But now I'm curious, what's your final takeaway for our listener? What do you want them to walk away pondering?
I want them to think about what truly attracts them to another person. Is it purely physical?
Hmm.
Or is it something deeper, something that speaks to their soul, their values, their aspirations? And how do those perceptions of beauty and attraction shape their own lives and relationships?
Those are great questions. It's about moving beyond the superficial and recognizing the complexity and nuance of attraction.
Exactly. And it's about appreciating the beauty in all its forms,
Hmm.
not just the kind that's celebrated in magazines or on websites like the Top Tens. Beauty is everywhere if we're open to seeing it.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this fascinating deep dive into the hottest men of all time. It's been a fascinating journey, exploring the complexities of attraction, the evolution of beauty standards, and the power of individuality.
It has been. And I hope our listener has enjoyed this exploration as much as we have.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you? What surprised you? And what do you think the future holds for our perceptions of beauty and attraction?
Feel free to share your insights on our social media channels. We're always eager to continue the conversation.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing the beauty that surrounds you. So we've got all these names on this list, and, I'm wondering, does it tell us anything about how our ideas about masculinity are changing?
It's a good question. I think we do see a broader range of personalities and styles on here. We've got the classic strong silent types like Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
But then we also have men who embrace a more, sensitive or androgynous style like Harry Styles. It's not just about fitting into a box anymore.
It seems like that old school image of the strong and stoic man is changing, becoming more nuanced.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like authenticity is becoming the new hot.
Mm-mm.
Being genuine, embracing your quirks. That seems to resonate more these days than trying to fit some, I don't know, outdated ideal.
Right. And that connects to what we talked about earlier, like kindness and vulnerability, all those inner qualities.
Exactly. It's not just about a chiseled jawline anymore.
Right.
It's what lies beneath the surface. Depth of character, empathy,
Yeah.
a passion for life.
And maybe this shift is a good thing, right? It means more individuality, more self-expression, a healthier view of what it means to be a man.
Yeah, I think so. It takes the pressure off, trying to conform to some, rigid ideal.
Right.
And it encourages people to embrace who they really are.
Mm.
And that, I think, can be really attractive.
So we've talked about the specific men on the list, we've looked at the fan comments, and even these broader cultural shifts. But I have one last question for you before we wrap up.
Okay.
Do you think the very concept of hotness, like what we find attractive, has actually changed over time?
Hmm. I think it has, definitely. Beauty standards, they're always evolving,
Mm.
influenced by trends, technology, everything. What was considered hot 100 years ago might be totally different now.
So what's driving this evolution of hotness?
Well, social media for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just like bombarded with images and information from all over the world. That exposes us to so many different ideas about beauty.
Right, so it's broadening our horizons, challenging those, I don't know, those old, narrow ideas about beauty that we used to have.
Exactly. Plus, there's this growing awareness of representation and inclusivity. People want to see themselves reflected in the media, and that includes a wider range of body types, ethnicities, gender
It's
expressions.
like we're realizing that beauty comes in so many forms,
Yeah,
and that trying to fit everyone into one mold is just, I don't know, not only unrealistic, but also unfair.
totally. I couldn't agree more. And I think this push for diversity and inclusivity, it's going to keep shaping how we see beauty in the future.
So maybe the future of hotness is about celebrating differences, and seeing the beauty in all its forms.
I think you're right. It's about going beyond those surface judgments and recognizing the beauty in everyone.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into the hottest men of all time. It's been quite a journey. We explored the complexities of attraction, how beauty standards evolve, and the power of individuality.
Yeah, it has been a fascinating conversation.
And we would love to hear what you think. What resonated with you? What surprised you? What do you think the future holds for how we see beauty and attraction?
Feel free to share your thoughts with us on our social media. We always love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing the beauty that surrounds you.